अरे यार मेरे को बिल चालू हो गया मेरा.
चलता है बिंदास. एक सेकंड.
Okay.
Hello and welcome. This is yet another episode of the Playstyle podcast. This is me, Ishan, and I have another guest with us today who will tell about his experiences with games. So before we go ahead, I'll just introduce him and then I'll talk more about my podcast as well because it's still a new episode, so I'll have to set more context every episode. So before that, welcome Mohsin. Hi.
Hi, Shan. Thanks for having me over here.
And yeah, let's. So what I'm doing in this podcast is, if you haven't listened to the previous episode, and also the ones listening, if you haven't listened, you should go and listen to the previous episode. What I'm doing here is talking to people about their experiences with games and playing games and all that. So I had put out this message on my Instagram and Twitter and stuff. So some of my friends reached out to me. Yeah, we'll definitely talk. And it would be a good way to catch up with old friends for me right now. So before that, Mohsin, just give a context of where in the world you're joining from and what are you currently doing and how I have invited you to this.
So I'm residing in Kuala Lumpur and I do tech marketing and consulting for the industry sector in this part of the world. Okay, so that's basically like a marriage of technology and marketing. Okay, and this my association of games and playing games, it is quite long. I mean, I would say almost 2 decades. So it's always been
I
a very
think it would be
interesting
longer.
experience so far. It's been an interesting experience so far. So the idea of having this discussion, I was really looking forward to it. So when you put out in your DM, you're looking for people who can talk about games and have a casual discussion. So I was like really excited to be a part of this one.
Yes,
So
and it's
yes,
good for me because in the early episodes itself, my podcast is very international. We have people joining in from a lot of different time zones, I would say. So yeah,
that's interesting.
let's get back to like what we are talking about. I'll just start with, okay, one word that comes to mind when you think of games. Like when I say games, like first word that comes to your mind.
Fun. I mean, that's just the emotion which is associated with games.
Yes.
For me, it's a very it's so natural that it comes when you're playing any form of games, be it online or offline, be it on any console or on your mobile. But that is like when you're playing games, you have to be like a kid, right? So fun is the best emotion. That would be an apt description for your answer.
This is good because I like this answer. I'll tell you why. Because now like again, because I didn't give context earlier in this before we started, is that I make games. I've been making games for a long time. And usually we always tend to talk about games as, oh, I as a player want to do something like this, but we don't really take the insights from different players who are not really connected to making games as such. So it is kind of interesting for me to talk to different players of the game, not makers of the game, as part of this conversation. So a lot of times when we are making games, we're like, oh, is this fun? And it's like a running joke in any like game making, I would say, that every time if you want to counter any design, oh, but is this fun? And no one can really explain fun. But we do
Correct.
this like, oh, is this fun? Yeah, maybe it is. Like, what if it is not fun? So that's what. Now we will talk about what is fun for you. So like you said, like it's fun. So what do you think, you have some cool memories about games which you remember, like this was fun for me?
Okay, so there's quite a number of memories, if you have to go down the memory lane. Okay, let us start with a few that is very close to my heart. Okay, I think the first one would be our early interactions when we used to play. There was a game called as Motocross Madness 2 on
Mm-hmm.
PC.
Yeah.
Okay, and this game, basically it allowed you the freedom as a user to ride the motorcycle bikes in the wild, and you can do your different forms of stunt and create different levels of achievement and go through all the entire the lovely process out there. The next one I would say is I was also more attracted towards games which were focused purely on sports, like cricket and football. So FIFA being one of them. And it's such an interesting game because you have the entire community across the world
Yeah.
playing and cheering for the team, for the national team or the local club that you are representing out there. And it's always fun when there are 4 to 5 people and more people, playing on a
The communal experience
multiplayer.
that it
Exactly, the
gives.
community experience.
When you mentioned about that motocross madness, I also remember Road Rash during that time. Did you play that?
Road Rash is another
Yes, it
excellent
was
game.
fun kicking people, right?
Lovely, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's some cool thing because you seem to play more like sports games and like the racing games and all because you also follow sports, right? Because I know you follow a
Right.
lot of sports. Does that come from a thing that because you follow real world sport, you want to play those games, or is it the other way around?
You can say that because there's some form of engagement already, being built up on the offline mode while, you're following the different sports which do happen. But if you have to ask me about certain more experiences in games, there would be something which was a very famous game. I'm sure you would remember SmackDown.
Yeah, of course.
Here Comes the Pain on PlayStation 2. And, I still remember I have very fond memories of that. The experience more than the game, it was the experience while playing with my friends, where there'll be around like 10 to 12 people sitting in a cafe kind of a setup, and
Yeah.
almost 6 players will be playing the main event, which is like the elimination chamber. And so those are some really interesting memories that I can look upon there.
Yeah, that I would. I don't know if you can consider entertainment wrestling a sport, but yeah, it is a sport. So yeah,
Not as a sport per se, but I would say, the entire gaming experience, because how you are involved as a player and there are the different aspects of the gaming there. So I would say that was quite interesting there.
nice. And do you also play these kind of games currently? Like, what are you playing, or what are you playing on currently?
Okay. Currently, I think I was just playing the F1 2020 on my PlayStation 4. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And it's quite interesting to, play the game in a real life mode while you're having and experiencing the thrill and the adrenaline of actually driving a Formula One car, which, you're not going to get your hands on.
Yeah.
Okay. And because there are very limited amount of people that can actually drive those cars in the real world. Apart from that, I think on the online mode there was Among Us, which was quite famous.
Yeah.
So during our lunch breaks and everything, we were playing that with our colleagues as well. And I think there was a pretty standard Desi Indian game, the Ludo.
Yeah.
Okay, so there were requests being coming on by our friends, families, at least play one game, it's going to be interesting. So I think these couple of them were, make the. So there was also this one interesting game, Ishan, which was, the entire setup was so exciting as, so you have to play the role of an undercover cop in Hong Kong, and you have to, progress through the various tasks and achievements in order to earn the loyalty of your mafia bosses level by level. Okay. And that entire setup was so amazing, because it made you experience the thrill and the excitement of that entire Hong Kong mafia, environment
Yeah.
at the end of sitting from your own chair. Okay.
Yeah.
And that is
I
also one
think
thing.
I remember this game. Was it Hong Kong or Bangkok?
Hong Kong, Hong Kong.
Okay, yeah, I think I played
So
this.
you do a
I
lot
forgot the
of
name. Yeah,
you do a lot of illegal activities. Okay. And but it was fun, so the thrill part was, where you actually go ahead and take down different bosses,
yeah,
and it's a very immersive experience, I would say. And when I moved here to Kuala Lumpur, those there was a particular music that happens in the typical Oriental kind of films, especially in back
yeah,
in China and Malaysia and Singapore. And that's when I had to come across this particular temple, and it was the same music playing. So I was like, oh, okay, this is something that I've heard, and during my experience, and I was like, I know it's a bit immature, but I still feel the joy
yeah,
while
yeah. Of course, and
coming across this thing.
there are these kind of games which give you that immersive feeling with the world, right? So, do you also
Right.
play other like open world or like GTA would be the easiest example.
GTA, everyone has played GTA. Anyone who says he has not played GTA is lying. Okay. I think the initial part of GTA where it came on PC and everyone was going crazy with all these cheat codes and everything, so you can get unlimited bank balance, you can blow cars and whatnot.
Yeah,
So I
it
think
was,
that
I
has
guess, the peak of doing all the things that you cannot do in real life.
exactly right. So you get a free hand, doing whatsoever you want. There's no one to stop you. So yes.
Ah, nice. Yeah, those are some fun games too. And but that's nice because you have that kind of experience with the community, the social bonding that you get from these kind of games, which seems interesting, and I think that interests you. But that's cool. And then, do you also like play always on your PlayStation, or have you tried any other media like mobiles or Switch or whatever, any other consoles?
Right. So I was waiting for you to ask me this question because so I started off playing, where I had this console. If you remember, there's a Mitashi game box.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
those.
And those, they had these bunch of games like around 99 or 299 stacked into a one cassette.
It were
And then
those Nintendo rip-off kind of games where
exactly.
99999 in one.
Right.
Yes.
So, where you would really pest your parents to get you one of those. And then, I mean, the evolution of gaming was not that much during our time. And now, when you look upon, like, where you had those games which had, like, those pixelated version of the graphics. And now, when you see the PS5 graphics, it has gone so amazingly, to a great extent. So yes, and another thing I used to play on was my PSP,
Oh,
although I
nice.
don't
Even I
play
had
upon
one
it.
PSP. Yes, I remember.
Oh really? That's good. So not much of a, I would say, playing experience as of now on the PSP, because we do have a PS4 and everything. But another thing I would say, PC and PS4 was my main go-to consoles out there.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I was just asking as what else because PC and PS4 sounds like a good amount of content that you already have to consume.
Exactly, and the amount of games that you have, I mean, even you have to play from day one to like day 365. You just can't complete the magnitude of games which are out there, and each genre has so many things to offer. So yeah.
Yeah, and do you like now because we started from the memories of late 90s and early 2000s, is like, are you also do you also continue playing games regularly now, or do you blame it on your work that you don't get enough time?
Yeah, I would like to say that, I would like to blame it on my work, but I do make a point to, indulge in a session, maybe, once in a week or something. So that really kind of, de stresses me, from the mundane routine, and especially during this COVID unprecedented times where you
Yes.
don't know how the future is going to be.
One more unprecedented times has been used. The podcast is a success.
Oh, okay, you were looking forward to this word.
If you don't use it in this times, like you don't feel like you're making content for this times, right? So,
Exactly right. So, I mean, I am glad that you take it in the right way there. So, I believe I would like to play. I do play around like once a week. Indulge in maybe some FIFA sessions or online PlayStation Plus.
yeah, but you do like to play like online only, or are you also like single player? I don't care about whoever plays online kind of player.
Not really of an online player. I just feel it depends on the mood. When you feel like if you want to go a single solo player, you just go for it. If you know that you have a group of friends, or you want to go online, you just take up the challenge and play there.
Yeah, interesting. And then, because like we kind of covered this, but then is there anything particular that you say you like about a game? For example, like you said right now, one on a broader scale, it is because you follow F1, you like to play F1 games, or it's coming from the sport. But when it comes to the particular game, is there anything like, yeah, I like this part in this particular F1 which I didn't like in earlier, like something like that which made you like a standout experience that this is something I like.
Right. So I would respond in this manner to your question is not as a particular experience,
Hmm.
but a great part, about playing games is like, just being yourself and free.
Hmm.
And it gives you the ability to make your own choices. And that kind of reshapes the entire journey of the character that you play out there. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's because I'm just coming more from a like, because you mentioned sports games and like because you play this, is there something particular? But yeah, of course, like these interactions and uh, choices that you make. Of course, it's a interactive medium, so you get that. But then, on the other hand, because you also said you sometimes play online, does playing online become stressful in any way? Because if I am going playing some ranked matches on some online games, I'm like, oh no, I'm going to lose. I hate losing, so I'll play unranked and easy modes. That's how I think. I just wanted to know your
No, that
thoughts.
is one thought which is always lingering at the back of your mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so because it's such a competitive, it's such a competitive environment, and you always have to be, on the forefront. But I believe those are just the thoughts at the initial level. But once you are immersed into the game and you start playing, you just enjoy the over the course of the game.
Yeah,
So yeah,
nice. Because it's completely different from how I think, I would say.
right.
Because like I said, if it's a competitive match, I will just not play because I don't like losing in that way. Like I'm like,
That's
oh
a very
no.
cliche thing.
Exactly. So I'll play I'll play the easy ones and I win and I feel happy about it. Like there are most of the times I play my games like that. So
Right. Now
that's
I
why
do
it's
get you.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I do get you, but I mean, earlier, I would say initially that used to be the thought process
Hmm.
when you just start a game, or when you insert the CD and the game is about to start. So you're all geared up, ready to shackle it out with your friends. But as soon as the game starts and you immerse yourself in the entire process of playing that particular game, like even for example, let's talk about FIFA.
Hmm.
So as long as when you play an El Clasico match in La Liga, which is like Real Madrid versus Barcelona. So obviously if there's a Barcelona player, you have that, oh, I have to make this guy lose. And that's just brings out your competitive spirit out, I would feel, to a certain extent. But yeah, once you start playing, you just be yourself, and you're enjoying the game out there.
Yeah, that's cool. So now I'll flip the question in the way that what is it that you hate about the games? Like anything that you would not like in a particular game that you play, or anything that you haven't, like you saw this thing in some game and then you're like, no, I'm not playing this anymore.
Okay, so like dislike, I think dislike is a very strong adjective
Okay.
because I've been associated with sports, and it's a very beloved topic for me. But yeah, there are some points that that people need to focus on nowadays, especially I would say their on-screen time, which is where we need to set the boundaries, because people can tend to develop this gaming addiction, I would say. And
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. Like in a broader sense, yes. I would say, like, because we were talking about your experience with this particular any game you take. Is there anything that you're like, no, I didn't like this on a, like, this feature wasn't good. Like, oh, I didn't like this kind of free kick taking in FIFA, or I didn't. That's why I was not engaged enough. Or is there something like that?
I think I would say that some of my experiences with first person shooting games,
Mm-hmm.
by the time you're actually trying to load the gun and look for people to, shoot at the target, you're already killed. So, it kind of gets frustrating at times, but I would say, yeah, there are some of the experiences like that.
Yeah,
If
but then does it make you not play those kind of games anymore? Or is it something like, oh, this is the genre I'll not even touch? Uh,
No, I would not say that, because I would say it would just be a conscious effort where I want to play, which game I want to play.
mhm.
I mean, after all these years, when you're playing, different genres, you will be like, okay, I want to go for a sports one, or I want to go for a, like a Formula One or a FIFA. That's just your conscious choice for
Yeah,
me.
of course. And then because you play these games more on the console, which require I'm kind of leading this question, but yeah, which kind of require you to spend more time like in a focused zone of, oh, I
Right.
want to play this game, and I'm like selecting to play like 1 hour of FIFA, whatever example. So does it? Do you also kind of consume the snacky kind of games, say mobile games or anything on the side, where you're like, yeah, I have some 5 minutes of time, let me go back and play something small? Is that something you do, or that is something you don't like to do at all? You have better things in your life to do.
No, no, I give my total commitment to the game that I'm playing on the console. That's it.
Okay. So I would say your consumption of games on, say, mobile devices is lower or negligible.
Lower, quite minimal when you say we do a vis-a-vis comparison, with the console games or the PC games, because that's how I think I have been grown up, and my entire journey of playing games were mostly on PlayStation or PSP. So, although I'm yet to get my hands on PS5 because there's been some challenges
It's
here.
difficult to get it right now. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but I had everything right from the PS1 to PS2, PS3, PS4, and PSP. So, that's where I'm a pretty much, PlayStation guy.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. But do you then like, just because you said you are a PlayStation guy, have you played on Xbox?
I knew this was gonna come, okay? All right, yes, we did play on Xbox and it was fun, but I still, my loyalty still lies with the Sony PlayStation.
Yeah, but then like this is a good discussion to have. I'm not dissing on one brand or the other, but because you have this one experience, was playing on a different console like in some way like good or bad, or just because you thought I'm not used to it?
Uh, okay, so I would put it in such a way that both the experience are equally good in their respective manner. But if a PlayStation guy is more used to playing on his console with a certain configuration on the buttons and the joystick, right?
Yeah,
That differs on an Xbox.
correct.
Okay, so the direction is very pretty much universal on the left side, but on the right hand side where we have these buttons like X, zero, circle, all these buttons are pretty different to what we have on an Xbox. So that is like lined up horizontally. So that would be as a user. I would be more comfortable playing with the joystick that I've been playing for a longer time because that's where I could be at my optimum best. So yes.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. Because that's one of the things that gets, like, when it comes to these consoles, like, getting used to the joystick has been, like, a challenge in some way. Because even when I switched between Xbox and PS4 or whatever, it used to be like, ah, this is different joystick. I need to think about it. Or when it comes to Switch, it's even different. Like, oh, the buttons, wait, the selection is different, whatever. So yeah,
Exactly.
that's
So
yeah,
so that's also one thing where when you're playing in for football and everything, when you're playing with a different joystick, then again you need to go to the settings and configure the entire setup of the actions that a player does with a certain button, right? So there's a long kick, there's a shoot button, there's a navigational button. All these things you need to redo again.
yeah.
So, I would rather focus on getting the set controls and the default things and just start and play the game rather than, spending time there.
Makes sense. Yes, you're just defending PlayStation now, but I don't mind. Even I play mostly on PlayStation, so
No,
it's
it's
okay.
it's a very valid, objective response.
So now let's see that if like I want to still come back to the question that what you don't like or whatever, but then is there something that will make you try out a new game? For example, now you said like in these shooter games you are not really used to this shooting. It gets very heavy for you, or compared to sports games, for example. Is there something that kind of games would make you try them, like would drive you towards that game, like something that you see like this sounds cool, I want to try it?
I wanted to actually try a couple of ones, which is I think there's Call of Duty, the recent one, which has been releasing the Vanguard edition.
Yeah.
So I feel I had a look at the the promo video, and I was like, okay, this is something cool that I can get my hands on, and maybe we'll suck at it, and sometimes we can
Yeah.
for some period of time, but overall we can try it. So yes, I think that would be something that I look forward to.
Okay, yeah. So mostly on promotion thing. So let me flip the question again to a different way. So now
Okay.
you play less amount of games on mobile phones, like you said. Is there something from mobile games that if you see on the store that would make you try that out? Or
Something on the mobile.
do you not care about it, like if you see something when you go to your Play Store or Apple App Store or whatever it
Right.
is there,
So
like, would you decide to play a particular mobile game for a particular reason, or you would not look at it at all?
no, I think my preferences still lie with, the console ones.
Hmm.
So, I mean, if there is something, sometimes while we were traveling and, there's a long waiting time or something, so you do indulge in, these small arcade games, or it could be either Ludo or some random games out there. But
Yeah.
apart from that, I still believe I would still be quite, happy playing my amount of console games out there. So
Yeah.
mobile for me as a person,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
do understand it's a very different market, and there's a different target audience as well everywhere. But for me as a consumer of this game, my
Yeah.
interest mostly lies with the console. So
Ah,
that is where
nice.
something I'm in my happy world playing it.
Yeah, I mean that's right. Like I said, like there is no right answer. I was just trying to see, oh, is there
Yeah,
anything else that interests you? Yeah, perfect. And I think we have a lot of content. Uh,
I'm glad
actually,
we could
yeah, we
contribute
can
to it.
we can still go recording. I don't mind. Hopefully, people listen. But then before we kind of take it to a wrap, is there anything you want to recommend for more players to play, like something that you think people should enjoy more, like some game, of course.
So it could be either on consoles or
Anything,
anyone,
like
you mean?
anything that you have played, which you have liked, and which you think more people should play.
I think there was this one game which is the NBA 2K11. Although it was a older version of
Okay.
the NBA's. All
Yeah.
right, so it received a lot of flack, I would say. But from an end user perspective, I still feel that the game has a lot to offer in terms of the motion graphics that it has, the entire set of play which it offers as a complete part of the journey. But yeah, so that is one game I feel people might like it if you are inclined towards sports.
But do you also play recent NBA titles?
I did. So that was one thing which was, I was very fond of playing,
Hmm.
and I had a colleague here, and I think he had the only CD which was for the NBA, and all the time we were just, hopping onto his PlayStation and playing that game for like hours. So it
Oh,
was a
nice.
it was a good contest. So yes.
Yeah, because I have, like, I play FIFA. I'm not good at it. I am the
Okay.
one who is the one losing all the matches when I play with my colleagues. But like I have tried NBA
So do you
sometimes.
mostly so do you
Sorry.
mostly play FIFA online, or like with your colleagues, or
No,
offline?
we play a lot of it in our office, like with my colleagues, and that
Okay.
time they trash me. So it's fun for me to once in like 10 games, if I win, then I have a good evening. But yeah.
Call me, call me an invite, give me an invite to to Denmark. I'm gonna come there.
Yes. Yeah, I mean that's cool because like NBA is a good example. I wanted to try it out sometime. I have one of
You
the
should
versions.
definitely, because there's so many options in terms of the gameplay, in terms of the moves, in terms of the tricks, and how you move around with the ball, and
Yeah,
I think you
actually,
would really
like
like it.
my problem with NBA is I don't 100% understand the rules of basketball. Like I haven't followed the game so much, so it's a
Right.
little confusing for me, and that's how I ended learning rules about games. But that's
Right.
also one. Okay, I'll
It's
just
a very interesting way, yeah, it's a very interesting way to learn about
because
sports in such a
yeah,
manner.
because you like this sports topic, and this reminded me. Have you played any sports game without knowing the rules and then understood rules of that game?
Yeah, I played Madden.
Yeah,
Okay. So I just had a very limited understanding of the sport,
yeah.
but while I was playing, we committed a lot of fouls and errors, and I think in this entire journey, that's how we experience what is the actual rules, and how do you want to play within the boundaries set into the game.
Mhm.
So that is one experience I would say of Madden. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because I thought of this because I have played like ice hockey, the NHL game, and
NHL,
I
yeah.
used to play that long time back, and I know the rules. Don't follow the sport at all, but I know some maybe most of the rules which are there just because I was playing this so much. But yeah, that's a good idea as well. So if you want to know rules about sports, play new sports games because there are a lot of cool
Definitely.
games.
And you learn it. You learn it while playing, right? So your memories are still refreshed when you actually play that.
Yeah.
So I would definitely suggest doing that.
Yeah, cool. So I think that's a lot of talking about sports games. I will leave you
Amazing.
some time on this weekend to uh, go back to your sports games and hope you play some good games today. And yeah, I think we should wrap it up. So all the people who are listening till now, first of all, thank
Sure.
you if
Thanks.
you're listening. And hope Mohsin was engaging enough for you to have some like listen to his fun conversations and experiences about games. It was great catching up with you, Mohsin, after a long time, and
Same here.
this was a good reason that we are finally making a call after what so many.
Exactly. I believe it's been quite a while, so, but
Yeah, it's
yeah,
been a long time.
much
Apart from
needed.
yeah, apart from talking on Instagram DMs, we can finally talk face to face. So
Right.
that's also good. So yeah, check out the recommendation and thank you for listening. And if you have any thoughts about how this podcast is, or if you have more such experiences that you want to talk to me about, so you should drop into my DMs on Instagram. The profile for this podcast is playstyle.podcast. So feel free to follow, write a DM, share, whatever, like, share, subscribe, all that things. This podcast is right now available on Spotify, on Google Podcast, and few other things. There would be more, like, there will be more platforms where it would be hopefully available soon. So that being said, I will blabber around till
I think
it
you have done
ends.
enough marketing for now.
Yeah, yeah. See, yeah. If the marketing guy is saying it's enough, then I should stop.
Yeah, keep it simple. I'm sure it was a fun discussion. So thanks for having me over, and
Yes, thank
I
you.
hope that more people glue into your podcast, and you do wonders for this thing.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So you will also share it on your story when it comes out. Thanks.
Sure. Okay, sure. Thank
Okay,
you.
bye.
Bye.